So happy Friday to everybody. I'm sorry I'm not here with you. I've got some things that I want to teach you, and I figured even though I'm not here, it doesn't mean I can't teach you something new. And I know you're dying to hear about more math. Let me start with a joke. Did you hear about the mathematician that was afraid of negative numbers? She would stop at nothing to avoid them. I'll let you marinate on that one for a little while. Now, on to the task at hand. Here is something that I don't know if you know or not, but 5 to the negative third power is actually equivalent to 1 over 5 cubed, or 5 to the third power. And so the question that I want to consider with you guys today is, why do negative numbers become positive, why do negative exponents become positive exponents in the denominator? That's what we want to sort of consider today. So we're going to start out with this example. So here we have 2 to the 4th power, which is actually 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that equals 16. So we're going to take that, we're going to sort of look at some patterns that happen as we move to smaller exponents. So let's go to 2 cubed, or 2 to the third power. 2 to the third power is actually 2 times 2 times 2, which is equivalent to 8. Now let's talk about things that are actually happening here. If you go from 16 to 8, what you're actually doing is, some of you would say, you know what, I'm dividing by 2, which is true. But another way to see that, another way to consider that is dividing by 2 is equivalent to multiplying by 1/2. And if you don't believe me, let me prove it to you. 2, or actually let's go with 4. 4 divided by 2, you know, is 2. So if I have 4 times 1/2, I end up with 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2, it's a ratio. 4 divided by 2 is the same, which is 2. So you now believe me that if I divide by 2, that's the same as multiplying by 1/2. That's going to make things easier in just a second. So I just want you to understand that this expression here, if I divide that by 2, which is actually multiplying by 1/2, I end up with 8. So let's continue that. Also, I want you to understand that if I have 4 and I subtract 1 from that, I'm ending up with 3. So I'm ending up with 2 cubed. Let's continue that pattern. So I have 2 squared now. And again, that's 2 times 2. And as you know, 2 times 2 is 4. And as you've sort of figured out here, I'm just going to multiply by 1/2. Don't make fun of my 2. Now, I'm going to continue with that pattern. So I'm going to get to 2 to the first power, which, as you know, just gives me a 2. And again, same pattern happening. I'm just multiplying by 1/2. Now, it's going to start to get a little different here. Now I have 2 to the 0 power. Now there are lots of misconceptions about that. Some people will think it's 0. Some people remember, well, I'm taking my 2 and I'm going to multiply by 1/2. Half of 2, which you probably already figured out, is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Now, as I continue to the next number in the sequence, so I'm actually going to go to a negative. So I'm going 2 to the negative 1. Again, as I decrease here, I'm just subtracting 1 from each exponent. So the next logical one is 2 to the negative 1. And as I take my 1, you guessed it, I'm going to multiply it by 1/2. Again, it's the equivalent of dividing by 2. And you can see as I go down here, this is 16, 8, 4, 2. We know this one is 1. So as I go down here, what is half of 1? Well, we know that that's 1/2. Now, this is going to get kind of interesting here because now I'm going down into negatives. Now, typically people think, well, if I have a negative exponent, I'm going to have some kind of negative number. And this, again, is just telling us that I'm just continuing this pattern of multiplying by 1/2. So again, when I go to the next one, see if you can predict it. I have 2 to the negative 2 power. I have 1/2 over here. And I'm going to multiply by 1/2 again. Now, kind of cool here because now I have 1/2 times 1/2. Or another way to write that is 1 over 2 squared. So I want you to think about that for just a second, and then let's go to the next one. Again, each time I go, I'm just subtracting 1 from the exponent to get to the next exponent, and so on down the line. Okay? Now, here's what's happening. Again, I'm going to take what I had before, so I have 1/2. I multiplied that last time by 1/2, and guess what? I'm going to do it again by 1/2. And this gives me 1 over 2 cubed. So as you can see, when I have a negative exponent, that's going to end up in my denominator as a positive exponent. And you can just kind of see as I work my way down this pattern why it's happening. You agree that as I go from 16 to 8, I'm multiplying by 1/2. Again, it's the same thing as dividing by 2. 8 times 1/2 is 4. 4 times 1/2 is 2. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 times 1/2 is 1/2. And then I'm just continuing to multiply by 1/2, and I'm keeping track of what I've got. So if I sort of end up where I started, 2 to the negative 4th power, and I have, as you can see here, I've got, the last time I had 3 1/2s that I'm multiplying together, and now I'm going to do that one more time, and you can sort of predict what's going to happen here. I had 1 over 2 cubed, now I have 1 over 2 to the 4th power. So, all of this is to go back to that question that I posed in the beginning. Why do negative exponents become positive exponents just in the denominator? And there is our answer. It's just it's a continuation of a pattern, and as I continue down each and every time to get to the next term in the sequence, I'm just multiplying by 1/2. Eventually I'm just keeping track of how many 1/2s I have. So, just to test yourself, you should be able to answer the question now. If I said 8 to the negative 5th power, you should understand then, and you should already be answering, that I have 1 over 8 to the 5th power. So the only thing that's this negative indicates is that it's going to be in the denominator. Now, you are going to do some practice so that you get good at this, and let me tell you where to go to practice this. You are going to go directly to IXL. You're going to go to V3, and you're going to be working on, actually let me take you back just a step. You're going to IXL, you're going to Algebra 1. You're going to go to section V3, and then you're going to work on negative exponents. And you're going to practice everything that we just learned here. It's a pretty simple concept. I just want you to make sure that you understand the why. And if you need to, go back and watch that video. I know that you're thrilled to hear my voice, even though I'm not in front of you today. I want you also to have a great weekend, and I will see you here on Monday.